Hey class, Prof JC here today. What we're going to talk about today really gets into communication. Practical ways, how do we communicate with people? And this again is from our book here today that we're looking at, John Maxwell, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. And we are in chapter, let me just go back and see here what chapter we're in. It doesn't give chapter 7. And here's what we're going to talk about this week. Keeping it simple. When you're communicating with people, it's really, really important that you keep it as simple as you possibly can. Even as you're, maybe you go on from this degree, you get a master's degree, maybe some of you go on and get a PhD. It doesn't matter. When you're talking to a group of people, you got to bring that simplicity all the way to. Now, if you're talking to other PhDs, that's different, right? That might be a little different there. But I would even say even then, keep it as simple as you possibly can. But here's what I found. A lot of people don't necessarily know how to do this. Communication is not easy. How do you keep someone's attention long term for whether it's a 20-minute meeting or you're giving a 45-minute talk or it's, maybe it's a 2-hour meeting, right? How do you keep people engaged that long? Okay. Especially if you're talking to them. Okay. So this one is going to be important. Really, I think what we're talking about today is for when you're giving a talk to a group of people, how do you connect with them? And that's what we're going to talk about. Well, you got to keep it simple. Okay. When I was growing up, they had this, there's a great, it was like an acronym, and it was called KISS, K-I-S-S, keep it simple, stupid. Well, I don't like the word stupid, so we're not going to say that. But we'll just do K-I-S, right? Just KISS. Maybe we'll say K-I-S-S, keep it simple, simple. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But the point is just to keep it simple. Okay, that's the most important thing. And John Maxwell gives 5 ways when you're communicating with people, how do you keep it simple? Number 1 is this: talk to people, not above them. Talk to people, not above them. I don't need to go, I don't know, go into detail. I don't need to go into more detail about this. This is, it's one of the most important things that you can do. And it's one of the most annoying things. You've probably been in a situation where you've had people who are talking down to you. It's just one of the worst. I think about my time in basic training and those drill sergeants and how they just talk down to you 24/7. Now they're supposed to, and you sign up for that. But after the military, I remember thinking I never wanted to be talked down to again in my entire life. And I can't stand when people do that. When a speaker gets up and they're talking to a room full of adults, but they act like they're talking to a room full of preschoolers, and they get excited about that. They think they're doing something great. Hey, I used to be a preschool teacher, and so today we're gonna, get off the stage, man. I got time. Talk to people, not above them. Right. I've had a lot of success in this in my own life. I do a lot of consulting and training outside of the school that we do. It just came out of a 4-hour training this morning with Cisco. And I've learned, especially when you're dealing with these highly talented adults from all over the world, really. Today it was a group from Europe. I'm not going to be effective to them if I come in there and I'm acting like I'm high and mighty and I'm better than all of them. Right. It's not going to work. What works is conversation. What works is facilitation and dialogue with them, listening to them, trying to bring out their brilliance as much as possible. So you got to do the same. Number 2, get to the point. And this is something I struggle with sometimes. So I've got to work on this. I like to tell stories and kind of go off, but it's really important to just get to the point when you're talking to people. I saw a great email, or it was an article the other day on emails, and it talked about, instead of starting off your first sentence with, "How are you today?" Right? Which is, in my opinion, is the most, I gotta be careful about this. See, some of you want to email me and now you're going to change how you email me, but maybe that's okay. All right. Instead of starting off with, "How are you today?" Well, what a great sunny day. Just get straight to the point. Right. So maybe you're emailing your boss. "Hey boss, I needed to know if we need 60 units of this or 55 units of this." And maybe the last sentence is, "Hope you're having a great day," but just get to the point. Right. And the same thing when we're talking with people, I have found it's the most annoying thing when people just dawdle and take their time, and they, usually it's people getting up there and they're nervous. And that's what usually happens when we get nervous. We get up there and we're like, "Oh, so what a beautiful day outside. Boy, that traffic was something out there. Boy, the weather out there," right? As opposed to just getting up there and getting straight to the point. People respect speakers and leaders and people when they get up in front and they just get straight to the point. Here's what we're here to talk about today. So let's dive in. Okay. And number 3, so I can get to the point as well. Say it over and over and over and over again. It said that 4 different times. Say it over and over and over and over again. This is something that I think is really important. Now, you got to be careful with this one. Some audiences don't like this, so you got to be careful. Again, you don't want to talk down. And I remember I used to take this one maybe to the extreme. I've talked to many different audiences, okay? And years ago, I actually I was in ministry, and I was in ministry at it was a little congregation, and it was a congregation that was filled with a lot of recovering addicts. Okay, so these are people that have struggled with something. They're coming in. Now, I'm not trying to be, again, not talking down at all, but this crowd was a little bit more hard-headed. They were great people. I loved my time with them. And so with that crowd, and it worked. They needed to hear things over and over again. It worked for them. They really appreciated that. Well, I took that same. I went because I was still in ministry, so I went to another position after that and took that same strategy. But now this group was made up of really successful people. People had education, they had good jobs, and they'd done well for themselves. It was in a nice area of San Diego, and I tried that same thing, and it didn't work. And I remember somebody called me on it, said, "Hey, you're kind of teaching, you're kind of talking to us like we're middle school students." And that wasn't what I wanted to do at all. I was just trying to take my strategy from the one place to the next, and so I quickly switched that up. But the point I do want to make, though, is that when you're talking to people, you got to understand people need to hear it. The bigger the crowd, here's what I found: the bigger the crowd you're speaking to, the more you need to repeat something, right? It's almost like the larger the crowd of people, the less intelligence that crowd has. I don't know how to put that. Like, I don't know how to, I don't know how that's possible, but it's absolutely possible. I've been doing this long enough to know that the bigger the crowd you speak to, the more you need to kind of repeat something, because somehow that the intellectual level of that crowd just keeps going down, the bigger it becomes. I can't explain it, but that's how it is. But be careful, though, that you don't say it over too much. But here's the reason why: the human brain needs to hear it over and over again. I heard one person say that when you're blue in the face from saying something over and over again is when people are just now starting to get it. And if you've ever led, you know this to be true, right? You tell everyone, "Hey, we changed the meeting on Friday to 10 a.m. from 9 a.m. And you can tell them 2 weeks, hey, 2 weeks from now, our normal Friday meeting starts at 9 a.m. It's going to start at 10 a.m. You can tell them 3 times up to that. Someone will still show up at 9 a.m. ready to go. And you're like, well, what are you doing? We changed the meeting to 10. What? Wait, when? I never heard that. I said it 5 times, right? The last 5 meetings I've said it. That's how it is. So be careful that you say things over and over again so people can get it. Say clearly, okay? Make sure we're not, again, the smarter you get, the harder it's going to become you're going to jumble things up and create big words and all that kind of stuff. Really be clear about what you're trying to say. Make sure people know the message that you want to walk away with. Again, you don't want to repeat over and over depending on the crowd you're with, but they also should be able to walk out and say, there's the one point that I got from that person's time talking, so I need to say it clearly. And then number 5, and I think that this is important, it's something I'm working on as well: say less, right? Say less. And it's funny when you hear people, some of these memes that pass around and someone's talking and typically what people are, say more, say more. What we start to see now, people are saying, no, just say less, say less. If you can say what you normally would say in 30 words, if you can say it in 5 words, say it in 5 words. So I'm gonna say less and just keep it off there. Thing I want to ask you: what are the 5 things I just listed right there? What are the 5 things that you can do to make your communication simple? The 5 things that I just mentioned in the video. Don't make them up. The 5 things I just mentioned in the video. And then which one do you need the most work with? Thanks so much for listening today, everybody. Have a great week. Reach out if you need me, and I'll see you in the next podcast. Take care.